Hey friends, it's John. You're in the JRB Tree Climbing channel. This device I have in my hand is the Longhorn Hitch, or the Longhorn Loop, in that this single piece of continuous cord is hitched to nothing but my finger. And that is a typical way that I tie the Longhorn Hitch onto my finger, creating a Longhorn Loop. And I'll put that in my saddlebag and prepare for it to be used to create a friction hitch. I find that knowing how to tie the Longhorn Hitch makes devices like this, the Prusik Loop, it makes them obsolete. A Prusik can be used to tie a handful of friction hitches, but I can't change the length, and this sewn portion, well, it always tends to be in my way, and I can never get this thing quite the right length. Well, with the Longhorn Hitch, we can create all the same friction hitches that you can use to tie with a Prusik loop, but we can also control the length of it, and we can use it to create some really great friction hitches and devices that you can't create with the Prusik Loop. Case in point, here is my Longhorn Agile Hitch, fantastic friction hitch created with the Longhorn Hitch. We can also transform this into a soft shackle. Now, as I get started with this knot tying video, I am going to acknowledge that I had a video on the channel of the same name, tying the Longhorn Hitch, and I've deprecated that one. I've just retitled it the Longhorn Hitch Details because it was a little too long and gave some details we didn't really need in a knot tying video. Refer to my website, jrbtreeclimbing.com, and refer to the length specifications page, where I have a table of information that specifies for any diameter cord, and this is 6mm cord I'm working with. This is 6mm Sterling TRC, and it specifies for 6mm cord that I want to start with working ends that are no shorter than 12 inches. So this point here that you couldn't quite see what I did there with the ruler, but this point at the top of my fingers, that represents the 12-inch point. And as I pinch that, I will get started with tying the hitch. And it's tied in this fashion. I will start with the strand on my right, and I will bring it around the front and go around both strands 360 degrees. And I can just kind of hold it there with my fingers. And I'll repeat that now with the strand on the left. It goes over and around my finger. It goes, and it's very important that it goes over. It's not going to go under the other strand. It's going to go over the other strand. It has to go over it, such that at this juncture, the strand on the left has been over the strand on the right. Still working with the strand on the left, I'm going to send it up parallel to my finger, right along my finger, and shoot it out the other side. And now I'm going to repeat that with the one on the right, and I am going to make sure it goes behind and over, and as I do so, I will remove my finger as the temporary host. So one more step. You can see these ends are about the same length. I'm going to take these two ends and I'm going to shoot them back up through here. Shoot them back up through. They stay on the same sides. They don't cross again. And now I simply have to dress it out. And I do so by pulling on each of these ends and then pulling on the back side, the two strands that go in from the back. I'll pull on all four strands in an alternating fashion. And when I'm cruising at normal speed, I can tie one of these in 30 seconds. There it is. That's a Longhorn Hitch. I'll repeat that one time. But I want you to understand about the level of control that we have with these ends. If I zoom back out just a little bit and you look here at two different Longhorn Agile hitches, well, I wanted these to be tied in an optimally compact fashion. So I started this one just like you saw a moment ago with 6 feet of cord and with 12-inch working ends. And on this 9.5mm rope, well, there's a little bit of play in here. There's a little bit of play. I know I could make this just a little bit smaller if I wanted to. And how would I do so? Well, I just tie the same hitch. It's just that I start with a Longhorn. Instead of using 12-inch working ends, I use 13-inch working ends. So these ends are a little longer. It's still 6 feet of cord, but now I've got this thing really tight and compact. You get the idea. You can control the length of the produced product. You might tie it once and decide, oh, I just need a couple more inches put into the tails. And then if you needed to, you could trim those tails when all is said and done. Okay, let's go ahead and tie it one more time. And how do we untie it? Well, that's a really nice thing too, is even if it's been cinched really hard, if we can remove the host object, we can then slide the supply loop. This is what I call the supply loop, and these are what I call the load loops because they get cinched. They're cinched onto the host. I can pull the two supply loops and the load loop simply pops through. And now I've got slack in there and I can just start over. Okay, let's tie this one more time, and this time I'll emulate this beast and I will go for a 13-inch working ends. Again, see the website. The minimum length of the working ends varies with different diameters. And again, I'm working with 6mm cord here, and so I just extended the minimum dimension of 12 inches to 13. And I will repeat the process. Strand on my right goes around front and back where it started. Strand on my left goes over the other strand and comes back where it started. Still working with the strand on my left, I go up and follow the direction my finger's pointing along the host. Try to keep you in view. And then I will do the same with the strand on the right. Up behind and over the other strand, such that at this juncture, both strands have been under and they've both been over. And it's still kind of loose right now, and that's fine because I need a little bit of slack. I'll take these and I'll shoot them up and through. And it's important that they go the right direction. They're not going down towards the supply loop, they're going up. So as we'd expect, these are just a little bit longer and I haven't even dressed them out yet. Let's pull on one, pull on the other. Let's open the hitch and start to pull on the backside. Get all the slack out of the innards of the hitch that we can. And when I inspect the hitch, on the front, sometimes these will be laying a little flatter. Sometimes the crossing point will be on the front. I don't worry about that too much. The only thing I really worry about is that I've tied it properly and that I've removed all slack from the hitch by pulling on all four ends. And we know we've done a good job if when we initially try to adjust its size, it's got just a little bit of resistance, to pull that through. Okay, this is how we tie the Longhorn hitch to create the Longhorn loop. And please master that. Ensure it's a tool in your toolbox, and you'll be able to create the Longhorn Agile Hitch and plus some other goodies that I have in store for you. Thank you very much.